Kelly, I want a divorce. All right. No matter the reason, I can't live with someone who's been unfaithful. Let's get divorced right away. I printed out the divorce papers on my computer and thrust them in front of Tom. Sign this now. I'll sign it later and submit it right away. I'm sorry I hurt you. But thanks for understanding. We'll be happier this way. As Tom and Kelly were about to leave, Kelly came close and whispered to me, I'm gonna live the high life now. Sorry for taking Tom away from you. With that, Kelly showed a triumphant expression, linked arms with Tom, and they left. After all the paperwork was done, Kelly stretched out and said to me, It's finally over. Well, I guess it's all for the sake of happiness with Tom. So, good luck living the bean sprout life, Yvonne. Kelly laughed down at me with a triumphant look. I remained silent, and Tom, looking puzzled, joined in. Why does it mean Yvonne will be poor if she divorces me? Huh? Because divorcing high-earner Tom means Yvonne, a housewife, will lose her income, right? Hearing Kelly's words, Tom burst out laughing. What are you talking about? The poor life is gonna be ours, you know? My name is Yvonne. I'm a working housewife. My job is very busy, and I spend a lot of time away from home. Tom, my husband, supports me in this. He takes care of all the household chores in my stead, essentially being a full-time housewife. We've been married for just 3 months. Despite being newlyweds and me not being able to help much with the chores, Tom has never complained. He always takes care of me when I'm tired from work, and I'm truly grateful to him. We had no idea that the arrival of a certain person would greatly change the peaceful relationship we had cherished. One day, when I got home, Tom said to me, Can I invite an old friend over? Sure, but that's unusual for you to invite someone over. I met up with them after a long time recently. We really hit it off, and decided to meet again. I wanted you to meet them too. Tom explained with a smile. Seeing his face made me smile too. That's nice, thank you. If it's next weekend, I might be able to take the day off, so let me know the plan. Understood. Thanks, Yvonne, Tom said, looking pleased as he seemed to be sending a message on his smartphone right away. I've hardly ever seen Tom angry or in a bad mood. I love how kind and honest he is, always showing a carefree smile. Tom's childhood friend is named Kelly, and they'll be coming over next weekend since they're free. Tom thinks so highly of them, they must be a wonderful person. I was looking forward to meeting Kelly too. Next weekend. Today is the day Kelly visits our home. Tom has been cooking various dishes since morning to entertain his childhood friend. Tom's domestic skills are quite something, especially his cooking. Delicious-looking dishes are lined up on the table. I'm sure Kelly will be pleased. Ah, looks like Kelly's close by. I'm gonna go pick them up, Tom said and left the house to greet Kelly. Our house is in a high-rise condo with a concierge always stationed at the entrance. First-time visitors often get confused, so we make it a point to go down and welcome our guests. I wonder what they're like. Waiting excitedly, I heard the door open. Come in, please. Thank you for having me. Hearing Tom's conversation, I was puzzled. The voice seemed too high for a man. When Kelly entered the living room, I was surprised. Wow, what a room! This is so luxurious. In front of me was a woman looking around the room curiously. Tom, this person. Let me introduce you. This is my childhood friend, Kelly. Kelly, this is my wife, Yvonne. Nice to meet you, I'm Kelly. Nice to meet you too. I hastily returned the greeting. I had assumed a man would come because Tom's childhood friend was mentioned and Kelly is a unisex name. Tom could have just told me if Kelly was a woman. Feeling a bit uneasy, Tom and I decided to entertain Kelly. When we went to the dining table for the meal, Kelly naturally sat next to Tom. Normally, wouldn't Tom and I sit next to each other? I thought so, but Tom didn't seem to mind. It wasn't a formal occasion, and I didn't say anything as Kelly deliberately moved her chair closer to Tom. The house is amazing. The furniture is luxurious, and everything looks fantastic. Right? We can live like this thanks to Yvonne. Is that so? You support each other as a couple? Kelly looked up at Tom, not once glancing my way, and I just watched them talk. Seeing Kelly touching Tom occasionally and chatting happily, I felt uncomfortable. Tom didn't seem to mind, but it was easy to guess that Kelly didn't just see him as a mere childhood friend. Trying not to spoil the mood, I kept quiet until Tom suddenly turned to me and said, "Fun, right?" He genuinely thought so. So I responded with a forced smile, "Yeah." Surely, Tom didn't realize how I felt. He must think I'm genuinely enjoying myself. Then, Kelly, who hadn't spoken to me at all until now, turned to me and said, "I'm really having a great time. Can I come over again?" Kelly's expression was smiling, but her eyes weren't. Seeing my vague response, Tom said with a smile, "I'm happy you two are getting along." After that, Kelly started visiting our house several times a week. Initially, she came on weekends when I was home, but gradually, the visits increased, and now she seems to come even when I'm at work. Today, I came home to find Kelly's shoes at the entrance. I sighed and went into the living room. There were Tom and Kelly, sitting close on the couch, laughing joyfully. Kelly's arm entwined with Tom's. Even after noticing my return, there was no effort to separate from each other. Already tired, this sight just drained me even more. "Welcome home, Yvonne." Tom greeted me with a smile upon noticing my return. Without addressing me, Kelly simply said, "Well, I'll be going then," and left the house. Kelly was here again? Isn't that too often lately? I asked with a sigh. While preparing dinner, Tom continued, "Yeah, that's true. But Kelly recently got divorced and moved back in with their parents. I guess they feel lonely since everyone around is busy with work or their own families. I feel sorry for her, but honestly, I don't feel comfortable with you two meeting up when I'm not around. It feels like the distance between you is too close, and I wish you'd refrain a bit." I'm sure Tom doesn't have any ill intentions. He purely wants to help a childhood friend in trouble. However, I couldn't feel good about Kelly, who would touch Tom casually even in front of his wife, or make herself at home in a married couple's house during the day. Hearing my request, Tom apologized and said he'd reduce the meetings with Kelly. All I could do was trust Tom's words at that moment. However, Kelly kept visiting our house. She seemed to choose the times I was at work, as I never encountered her face to face. So, how did I realize Kelly was visiting? It's because Kelly deliberately left the toilet paper folded in thirds like I see it's done at classy hotels. Knowing well that neither Tom nor I fold the paper like that. It was clear she was leaving a mark of her presence on purpose. It was obviously a provocation to me. Even though the visits had decreased, Kelly was still coming every week, prompting me to express my concerns to Tom again. I made it clear. But then she'd stand crying at the entrance, talking about how hard and sad she feels, and I just can't turn her away, Tom explained with regret. I couldn't blame him further and just asked him to keep requesting Kelly to refrain from visiting. Tom would apologize each time, but the situation didn't improve. A month had passed since Kelly's first visit, and she continued to come to our house, leaving me mentally exhausted. I wanted to find a way to stop Kelly's visits. With that in mind, I was headed to a place I normally wouldn't go alone. It was Tom's parents' house. I wondered if there had been interaction between the families, given they were childhood friends. I thought there might be a clue to a solution there. I pressed the doorbell of Tom's family home. But honestly, I wasn't keen on it. There's a reason I usually stay away from here. "Oh, Yvonne. Are you alone? It's been a while." "Hi, mother-in-law." The mother-in-law, opening the door and seeing me alone, clearly looked displeased. She is the reason. I am disliked by her. "So? What brings you here all of a sudden?" "I don't really have any specific reason, but I haven't shown my face in a while, so I thought I'd stop by to say hello. Your visit doesn't make me happy at all. I could tolerate it if Tom were with you, but spending time on you alone is a waste." Being faced with such harsh words is almost refreshing in its clarity. Arguing back would only add fuel to the fire and make things worse. The best strategy is to offer a forced smile and let it slide. Really, you're such an uncharming daughter-in-law. It would have been nice to have someone like Kelly as my daughter-in-law. You two could have built a good relationship. I was surprised to hear Kelly's name come from the mother-in-law. Since she brought it up, it might be fortunate for me, considering I was worried about bringing up the subject awkwardly and arousing suspicion. She kept talking without paying much attention to me. Tom and Kelly have been close since they were young. Kelly always said she'd marry Tom. And then he ends up marrying someone like you, who can barely manage household chores, let alone care for the family. Truly disappointing. I'm sorry for my shortcomings. Without making excuses, I apologized. Yet, the mother-in-law continued to rant about me, repeatedly saying, Tom should have married Kelly. If Tom and Kelly were to marry, the mother-in-law would probably be overjoyed. With those thoughts, I absent-mindedly let her complaints wash over me. 2 months had passed since Kelly's first visit to our house, and the visits continued. By the time I became numb to the sight of the triple-folded toilet paper. Yvonne, there's something important I need to talk to you about. Tom approached me with a serious look, unlike his usual cheerful demeanor. The tense atmosphere made me nervous. What's up? Are you free this weekend? I'd like to have a serious talk. I'm okay, but why not now? Yeah, I think the weekend would be better. All right then, I said, and then Tom left the living room. What could this important talk be about? I thought our relationship was good when it was just the two of us. Could it be about Kelly? I had a bad feeling about it. I felt a mix of wanting to get the conversation over with and not wanting the weekend to come. The weekend came. My fears seemed to be confirmed. Kelly was there, looking as if it was the most natural thing. Tom was the one who started the conversation. Yvonne, I want a divorce. I had somewhat anticipated this. I had hoped, despite the possibility of our marriage falling apart, that in the end, he would choose me. To think that just because of one woman, our marriage could end so abruptly, not even half a year into it. It felt like I had been hit in the head, everything spinning. I like being depended on. Knowing that you're busy with work and relying on me to take care of the housework, it made me feel like I was supporting you. I felt the same way. Breaking away from the stereotypes that men should work outside and women should take care of the house, I thought it would be best if we supported each other with what we're good at and enjoy. I thought I could do that with Tom. But this person can't do anything without me. She can't live without me. I need to support her. Tom must really believe that. Wanting to help someone in trouble and being the support they need is genuinely how he feels. Whether abandoning his wife to help someone else is right is questionable, though. Glancing at Kelly, she looked down, but not in a way that seemed remorseful. Someone truly sorry wouldn't sit back comfortably on a sofa and cross their legs. Most likely, Kelly must be looking down on me, thinking she finally managed to take Tom away. Not noticing this is perhaps one of Tom's flaws. Somehow, I started to feel foolish to be seriously worried about this. Tom's personality isn't going to change in the future. He might feel a bit guilty towards me, but his actions are driven by a spirit of helping others. If I consider it an act of service, I couldn't see myself severing ties with Kelly even if I didn't agree to the divorce now. Continuing a marital relationship with Tom seemed like a lifelong issue, and parting ways now appeared to be the quickest solution. All right. No matter the reason, I can't live with someone who's been unfaithful. Let's get divorced right away. I printed out the divorce papers on my computer and thrust them in front of Tom. Sign this now. I'll sign it later and submit it immediately. Tom seemed taken aback by my swift action, but he took the divorce papers and started filling them out right there. I'm sorry I hurt you. But thanks for understanding. We'll be happier this way. Saying that, Tom handed me the filled-out divorce papers. I silently accepted them. As Tom and Kelly were about to leave, Kelly came close and whispered to me. We're going to live in luxury from now on. Sorry for taking Tom away from you. With that, Kelly showed a triumphant expression, linked arms with Tom, and they left. It seems there's a big misunderstanding, but I no longer felt obligated to correct it. Regarding the divorce, I decided to hire a lawyer and go through settlement negotiations. Since we didn't have children, the discussions mainly needed to focus on property division. Today, Tom, Kelly, and I were supposed to meet at the lawyer's office to talk. Tom had declared that he would accept my terms. Kelly expressed dissatisfaction but was silenced by Tom, stating it was only fair since they had hurt me. I demanded a fair division of property rights and asked for alimony for their affair from both Tom and Kelly. Kelly looked displeased at the mention of alimony, but her expression softened a bit when she heard Tom would pay for both. After all the procedures were completed, Kelly stretched out and addressed me. Finally over. Well, it's all for the sake of happiness with Tom, right? Good luck living the Beans life, Yvonne. With a look of triumph, Kelly laughed down at me. I stayed silent, and then Tom, looking puzzled, joined in. What are you talking about? Beans, what do you mean? Because she is divorcing you, Tom, right? She'll have to live a poor life from now on. So, I thought it's sad she will only be able to afford beans for meals. Why does divorcing me mean Yvonne will be poor? Huh? Well, because she is divorcing you, a high earner, Yvonne, a housewife, will lose her income, right? Hearing Kelly's words, Tom was silent for a moment. And then, he suddenly bursted into laughter. What are you talking about? We're the ones who'll be living the poor life. Huh? Kelly looked at us with wide eyes, alternating her gaze between Tom and me. I decided not to join in on this. Tom, clutching his stomach, struggled to continue speaking. I told you Yvonne is a CEO. I never said I was the one working, right? I remember you saying that, but I thought it was a joke. Wait, was that true? Why would I lie about that? I'm the stay-at-home husband, and Yvonne has been supporting us. She's the CEO of the famous ABC company. Hearing the company name, Kelly turned sharply towards me. ABC company? The one that was in the news with a yearly revenue of $3 billion? You're joking, right? I'm honored you know of it. Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Yvonne, CEO of ABC company. I took out a business card and handed it to Kelly. Kelly slowly took the business card, looking stunned. The company name was clearly written on the card. Kelly's hands were trembling slightly. Why? Your mother said Tom was the elite earner. How could this be? Hearing this, Tom looked just as surprised. While thinking that Kelly and the mother-in-law must have been in cahoots, I quietly listened to their conversation. Why did Mom get such a misunderstanding? You told her about it, right? Well, your mother said it's unthinkable for a woman to earn money. She also said that a woman should do all the housework and that failing to fulfill the duties of a wife is the worst, among other things. What? That's ridiculous. Such thinking is outdated nowadays. Sighing, Tom seemed frustrated by his mother's views. But I chose you over Yvonne. It's not for the money, but for love, you understand, right? Tom spoke with a smile while looking at Kelly, who remained dazed, not even sure if she was listening. Can we call it a day with this discussion? You've agreed to the terms, right? Yeah. This concludes the proceedings, right? I feel bad for hurting Yvonne. I'll make sure not to interfere anymore. Yeah. Please do. And tell that person in shock over there, and your mother as well, not to involve themselves with me anymore. All right, we're going to head out now. Tom supported a completely drained Kelly and left the lawyer's office. To think someone would be so shocked to discover their gold-digging target was actually a stay-at-home spouse. Whether they can build a good relationship going forward is highly doubtful. But that's no longer my concern. Finally freed from the hassle, I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. One day, after returning to single life and enjoying my freedom despite a busy work schedule, my secretary reported that a woman was causing a scene at the entrance, demanding to see me. It didn't seem like she was related to work, and she was insistent on seeing the president despite attempts to communicate with her. Despite a bad feeling, I instructed my secretary to bring the person to the reception room and asked her to be present with me. As expected, Kelly was there. She looked frantic and out of sorts. I regretted giving her my business card the other day. Why have you come to the company all of a sudden? Don't you realize causing a commotion at the entrance is a nuisance? Well, I don't know your contact details. I tried going to your house, but the concierge at the entrance wouldn't let me in, so I had no choice but to come here. We finished our discussion during the last settlement negotiation, didn't we? I never wanted to see you again. It's not like I wanted to come here either. Kelly banged on the table. My secretary looked displeased, but I gestured for her to stay calm. That's right. I came here to complain to you. Complain? Yes. You talked about property division, but what's with that amount? For the CEO of such a big company, you're being stingy. Kelly ranted on, clearly under a lot of stress. I'm not being stingy, it's a fair amount. Lies. It's true. It didn't seem like she would back down easily. Despite finding the situation bothersome, I decided to explain things to her. In the first place, my marriage with Tom lasted only 6 months. During that time, my income was evenly split. So, considering the compensation paid by Tom and you, it's natural for the total amount received to be less than the proposed figure, isn't it? Upon hearing about compensation, Kelly was taken aback. Tom had paid compensation for both of them. Realizing the reason why tens of thousands of dollars had disappeared, Kelly's expression turned bitter. Even so, why can't we live in that luxury condo? The house and all the furniture inside are shared property between spouses, right? It's unfair for you to hog everything. Dealing with Kelly's persistent questioning was becoming tiresome for me. With averted eyes, I explained calmly. Come to think of it, when you first came to the house, you looked around so rudely. If they were purchased after marriage, then yes, as you said, they would be considered shared property between spouses. What do you mean? That luxury condo and all the furniture inside were bought by me when I was single. So, they're all mine. There's absolutely no chance for you to live there. Confronted with the blunt reality, Kelly couldn't hide her shock. Uttering her words in a subdued voice, I can't believe it. I thought if I married Tom, I could have all the wealth, the luxury condo, and the gorgeous furniture. Well, sorry to burst your bubble. But you did get a kind and skilled husband who handles household chores. Be satisfied with that. Yes, that's it. That's the problem. Hearing my words, Kelly's voice rose as if she had come to her senses. What's the problem? Tom told me to get a job. He said he's suited to being a stay-at-home spouse, so I should work and earn money. I thought I could live comfortably without working after marrying Tom. It's natural for one partner to work if the other stays at home and does household chores. While Kelly was Kelly in this matter, Tom couldn't be blamed even if he complained. The reason he could stay at home as a house husband was because of his life with me, who wanted to work outside. If the spouse of a woman who likes to work marries someone like Tom, who takes care of household chores, it's a great match. I've always lived with my parents and never worked properly. I'm doing part-time jobs now, but I can't earn a stable income because I can't become a full-time employee. Tom doesn't get mad at me for that. But when it comes to my housekeeping skills, he says I can easily make frugal meals, and let's try to save money together as a couple. He's too positive, and it's annoying. Sure, there might be some troublesome aspects to it. Being able to take everything positively can be considered one of Tom's strengths, but his inability to read the room and the irritation it causes did happen. Even if we have to live on beans, as long as we're together, it's all good, right? I've got cooking skills, so I can make bean dishes every day without getting tired of them. He'd say. I was pleased thinking you'd struggle with eating only beans, but if I knew it would come to this, I wouldn't have married Tom. I don't need a man like that, take him back. It's likely just frustration at not being able to live the lavish life she imagined. Forced into a poor lifestyle, with a nice but financially unreliable husband. Thinking only of herself has led her to this backlash. Even though it's all her fault, she can't settle down without taking it out on someone else, maybe me. However, I didn't care about that anymore. I don't care about your feelings, and I don't need a cheating man either, regardless of the reason. Is that all you wanted to talk about? Then, please leave. As I said this, my secretary didn't wait for Kelly's response and promptly called security to escort Kelly out. I could hear her causing a scene in the hallway, but her voice gradually faded away. Feeling reassured by my secretary's decision to instruct the security to turn away that woman if they saw her, I sighed deeply. I've had enough of trouble. Then, one day, after Kelly's assault had ceased and I was enjoying my work peacefully, I was about to leave the office without working late when someone suddenly grabbed my arm. Startled, I couldn't make a sound and looked over in fear, only to find my mother-in-law glaring at me with rage. You finally came out. I've been waiting for hours, and you never showed up. How dare you not let your mother-in-law into your home and send her away? What kind of nerve do you have? Following Kelly, now it was my mother-in-law's turn to show up. I had forgotten about another troublesome person. The thought of her waiting for me to leave work filled me with an eerie sense of dread. Careful not to show my feelings, I responded firmly. I'm divorced from Tom now, so we're strangers. It makes no sense to let unrelated people into my home. I've informed the condo to only allow people I've approved into the entrance. You're so insolent. Respect your elders. My mother-in-law screamed in a pitch I had never heard before. It caused me discomfort. If there was anything about you worth respecting, I would. What do you want, ambushing me like this? Ambush sounds so terrible. I came all this way to tell you something important. I didn't ask for it. I wanted to run away from this situation right then, but fearing another ambush, I decided to listen to what my mother-in-law had to say, intending to end it all today. First of all, why didn't you honestly say that Tom wasn't working? It's your fault I was deceived, and now I'm in a terrible situation. I told you many times. I was the one working, and Tom was taking care of the home. Each time, you called me a liar or just ignored what I said. Blaming me for her own misunderstandings is frustrating. Then, you should have made sure I understood. I started living with Tom thinking we'd have a luxurious life, but the house isn't a high-rise condo, and it's bean sprouts every day. I can't stand it anymore. So, you were after the money as well. Like Kelly, you suffer because you rely on others for money. Shut up. Anyway, I'm in this mess because of you. You should pay my living expenses for life. That's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. Besides, shouldn't father-in-law be working? Even if Tom and Kelly lack the means, you should be able to get by for now, right? Yes, my father-in-law has been working away from home for years and rarely returns to his family home. Yet, he has always been very kind to me on the few occasions we met. Dealing with my mother-in-law's nagging was a hassle, but thanks to my father-in-law, I could tolerate visiting their home. That is, my mother-in-law gave a hesitant response. When he came back and found out about Tom's remarriage, he divorced me. I was kicked out of the house, so I decided to live with Tom and his new family. Finding your son's wife changed upon returning home would naturally lead to questions. It's typical of my mother-in-law. She probably spoke ill of me, making my father-in-law uncomfortable. But I thought, even after separating from him, living lavishly was possible because Tom was wealthy. I made a bold statement, so now I can't even ask him for help. I'm truly stunned. My father-in-law was a caring person who treated me kindly. If you had responded to his feelings, I am sure he would have reached out to you. But this is your own fault for neglecting the people around you. I will never help you. My mother-in-law, initially somewhat subdued, became furious again when I refused any assistance. How terrible! Heartless! To think I've come to you for help. Say what you will. If you continue to make a scene, I'll call the police. It's a nuisance having you cause such a disturbance in front of my company. Hearing the word police, my mother-in-law's face paled. She bit her lip in frustration but left without saying another word. Her shoulders were slumped, carrying the weight of despair. According to my lawyer, Tom, Kelly, and my mother-in-law are still living together. Tom wanted to continue being a stay-at-home spouse, but realizing they couldn't cover the expenses for 3 people, he decided to start looking for a job. However, not having worked for several months for reasons other than recuperation or caregiving, Tom could only find an employment at a company with low wages. In the end, Tom's salary alone was not enough to support their living, and both Kelly and my mother-in-law had to take up part-time jobs to scrape by. When Tom was taking care of the household, everything was spotless, and homemade meals were served daily, but now, with everyone occupied with work, the house is a mess. Meals consist solely of ready-made food, and arguments have increased. On the other hand, I was living a carefree life. If I wanted my house clean, I could hire a house cleaning service, and there are plenty of delicious options for food delivery or dining out. Not to say I dislike cooking. Occasionally, I find it a nice change of pace. I was thoroughly enjoying my single life. As for work, a company I recently started doing business with turned out to be where my father-in-law works, allowing me to reconnect with him. Yvonne, I'm truly sorry. It's all because of my foolish wife and son that you were hurt. No amount of apologies can make up for it. My father-in-law apologized to me, but there was nothing wrong on his part in this whole situation. Please don't apologize. Although we're no longer family, I would be happy if we could maintain a good relationship moving forward. When I conveyed this, my father-in-law smiled slightly and said, "Thank you. For now, I've had enough of romance. I've decided to dedicate myself fully to my work."